guys. Tonight, my mindset topic is going to be trusting in the universe, and especially doing so when things don't seem to go your way. I've come to a realization just a few days ago. I wrote this out, and it actually really became relevant when I had to go to the ER the other day for my gallbladder. And that is to really keep your faith in the universe. And we've all been in situations where we react to whatever has happened. And so you can have something like where you're driving behind a car and you're a few yards away and you see them get in a car wreck and you think, if I would have left my house a few seconds earlier, that could have been me. Or say that you're driving home and you hear on the radio that on your usual route to work or home from work that there was like a 7-car pileup, and you think, oh wow, if I would have left work 10 minutes earlier, 10 minutes later, that could have been me in that car wreck. And when you are in a situation like that, we're obviously grateful and we feel lucky. But what happens when you're in a situation such as you had a job interview and you just thought it was the perfect job for you and you don't get it? Or you're in a relationship with somebody that you think you're meant to be with and the relationship fails and you guys break up. Most of us aren't going to have that same view as, oh, I'm so lucky that I didn't get that job, or I'm so lucky that we broke up. But both of those situations, the car wreck, not getting the job, it's the same thing. The universe is working for you in both ways. And when it's something that we don't necessarily want to happen to us, of course, most people's natural reaction is not to be excited or grateful for it. But that's what I feel like we all need to change and work on. It's okay to be upset about things. I'm not saying that. It's completely, we're human. It's normal to get upset about things. But we can get upset about things without letting it wreck us. I think that it's better for us to view it as us being receptive versus reactive. When we're reactive, we get emotional, we let negative vibrations take over us, and we act out in ways that we normally wouldn't act out if we were coming from our soul versus our ego. And when you are coming through your soul, you're doing things through a calm fashion, you're seeing things clearly, and as I mentioned, you're not being reactive. You are observing the situation, letting it in, and then letting it go. And that's the biggest thing, is learning to let go. We are spiritual beings living in physical bodies, and with living in physical bodies comes physical things. It comes with the want of material things. It comes with expectations of, this should have worked out a certain way. This should have worked. This is not how it was supposed to be. This is how it was supposed to be. But we don't always know what's best for us, and we don't know what's coming around the corner. And that is the really cool thing about being humans. We don't know what's coming next. Sure, that could be scary sometimes, but most of the times in my situations, I've seen that when something didn't work out, it was because something better was coming. And as I mentioned in some of my videos before, one of my favorite sayings is, the universe never tells you no. It's yes, not right now, or I have something better in store for you. And so when we come to terms with the fact that the universe has our back and that things are always working out for us, that's when we start to change inside. And that's when we start to let little things slide. And when you notice yourself becoming more patient and more open, less serious about things, if somebody cuts you off in traffic and normally you'd have road rage, but you see yourself letting it go and realizing that it doesn't matter, it's not a big deal, that this is not going to matter 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 minutes from now. That's when we kind of can start to see the change in ourselves, and you can really start to feel good knowing that you are making that progress as a spiritual being in a human body. And just a small example, a few months ago, I had this awful bladder infection, and it was probably one of the worst ones that I've ever experienced. And so I went to my usual urgent care. I'm uninsured, and I love this urgent care because it's only $50 out of pocket. And it was just a regular Tuesday, and so I drove up there, and in pretty bad pain. And I go up to the door and there's a sign on their door that says we're closed today. There was no excuse. There was no reason for it. It's not like they're closed every Tuesday. It wasn't a holiday. It was just a random closing just for a day. And old Kylie would have gotten upset. I would have reacted and probably just made the situation worse for myself. I would have put negative vibrations into my body, which is obviously not going to help if I'm already sick. And it wouldn't have worked out as well as it did. So, like I said, old Kylie would have reacted and made it about me, gone into victim mentality, been like, how would they be closed? Of course they would be closed on the day that I'm sick. All about me. Ego, ego, ego. But on that particular day, I saw the letter on their door. I accepted it, took it in, and I let it go. And I thought, what are my next options? So, I figured I'd go to the ER, spend a couple of grand, and just to get antibiotics. So that was a no-go. And then I remembered that, I could just call the doctor that I see once a month and see if he'd be able to see me that day. And so I did. I called up and I talked to the receptionist, and I thought, I might have to drive up there, another 30 minutes, already feeling horrible, and pay $80. And even though the thought crossed my mind that I might have to do that, it didn't bother me. I just accepted it. It was what it was. Like, I had no control over it. That was my next best step. But the receptionist got back on the line, and she told me that instead of me having to come in to the doctor, that he was just going to call some antibiotics in for me. And that worked out perfect. And it might just seem like something really small, but the more I thought about it when I was driving home, I realized what a huge blessing it was. Because not only by the urgent care being closed did I save $50 on not having to go there, I saved a 30-minute drive not feeling well. I saved $80 for not having to actually physically go see the doctor. And I also got antibiotics that they were either free or under $5. And so, like I said, it's not a huge, big deal, but it's just an example of, in a different parallel universe where I could have seen that letter on the urgent care door and I could have just freaked out and made myself even more upset. Or in this world where I didn't react to it. I accepted it and went on with my life. And it was no big deal, and things actually ended up working way better for me. And so that's just a really small example of what happens when we just take time to think about, how am I going to act in this situation, and how am I going to let it affect me, and what can I do next about it? And that's why it is so important for us to just, just try to keep a cool, calm, collected attitude towards life. And I'm not saying I do that all the time. I mean, I have to remind myself of this constantly. That's why I'm always doing mindset work and trying to fill my body and my mind and my spirit with anything that I can to learn more about how to interact with the universe and, accept things. Because I am not somebody who was born that was just always an optimist or a positive thinker. I was very much the opposite of that for a very long time, until I started my spiritual journey. And like any human being, I'm going to fall back sometimes. And, even just the other day, I did. I was upset after I got back from the ER. I didn't feel that I got adequate care. I had to wait there for hours and hours and hours on end in excruciating pain. And I was angry. I was angry at our healthcare system in America. I was angry at the coronavirus for, there were people in that waiting room that had burns on their faces from coffee getting, boiling coffee getting spilled on them or thrown on them. I'm not sure. I don't know. But they were burned. There was a woman there that was literally burning from the inside out from a chemical burn. I was there with another guy was there from gallbladder pain. I mean, and we were all just having to sit there and wait for 7-8 hours. And I had to remind myself that there are people with coronavirus that need to be taken care of. But I was also kind of angry because I'm like, there are other people that need help too. Coronavirus is not the only thing going on in the world, even though it is such a big part of our world right now. So anyways, I was bitching and complaining to my husband, and my 7-year-old overheard me, and he came up to me and he goes, "Mama, what are 3 things that you're grateful for?" Oh my gosh, you guys, it was like a slap in the face, because when he gets upset, I try so hard to implement this into his life and all my children's lives that, when we're upset, what do? We take 10 deep breaths, we go outside for a minute, we think about what we're grateful for, name 3 things you're grateful for right now. And usually my 7-year-old does not go along with this with me. When he's mad, he's mad. He's on the autism spectrum, and so it's also a little bit harder to get him to calm down when he's upset. So for him to come up to me when he heard me complaining about my situation, it really just flipped the switch up for me. And immediately I told him 3 things I was grateful for, and it made me feel so much better. And I'm not saying that took care of everything, but it just opened up something in my mind and, made me remember this is the example that I'm setting for my child. I'm coming home and complaining when I'm preaching to him, be grateful, try not to complain, try to look at the positive. And I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect parent, but I do want to do my best to be an example to everybody around me about how to conduct yourself when you are somebody who is spiritual and who fully believes that things are always working out for you. And so this is just, why I wanted to do this video is just as a reminder to anybody out there who's dealing with any kind of situation where something is not working out for you right now. Don't let it overtake your emotions and don't overreact to it. And just really put it in perspective and think, is this something that I need to be this upset about? Is this something I need to be complaining about? Am I talking about it or am I complaining about it? Am I looking at it from the right perspective? Could I be doing something different? Could I be reacting better? These are all questions that we should ask ourselves on the daily when it comes to anything, but especially when we are upset about something. And it's just a reminder that, even though I don't have everything worked out as far as my gallbladder goes, I know that it's going to be okay. I don't know how, but that's not our job to know the how. Our job is to just have faith and trust the universe. And so I hope that this video was a reminder for you, if you needed it, that, just have that faith, keep that faith, don't let it go. And just know that this too shall pass. Whatever you're going through, it's going to be okay. It's going to work out for you. The best thing that you can do is work on yourself from the inside out. And, just keep working on yourself. That's the best thing that you can do. Don't even worry, but focus on what you can control. Don't focus on things that are outside of your control. Think about what you can control for yourself and work on that and leave the rest to the universe. If you guys like this video, please hit subscribe, and let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about or discuss in my future videos. I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say, and I really appreciate it if you have come this far and watched my video. Thank you guys, and I'll be back soon with another video. If you're having issues with your health, don't forget to check out my next video.